But first, let's talk about this. This is one of the biggest news, economic news so far in 2019. The Central Bank of Nigeria has frozen sourcing of FX via banks and other authorized dealers for those who are doing wholesale of imported textiles into the market. That's a big story there for consumers. What happens to those big shops downtown Lagos? You know where they are? Those with polished lace and those big markets. One of the big stories on our commodities front. But again, we're checking in with post-elections or post-presidential elections food basket. How much are you paying for some of the agro commodities? Bolanle Agbaje, who is a member of the economic think tank at Financial Derivatives. Good morning, good to be here.
Good morning.
Okay, so when the announcement came, mine went to those who were selling Swiss lace. Is that what they call it?
Yes, they're different names.
Yes.
Dry lace.
Dry lace,
yeah.
wet lace,
Swiss lace.
Swiss lace, yes, yes.
They're different kinds. Yeah,
Yeah, different kinds, and others as well.
Yeah.
But again, this is one big story for the FX market on the prohibition list via FX assets as well. You can bring it in, if you get your money, bring it in, no problem. But this is big news now for consumers. And some of the arguments is that, hold on a second, that perhaps the price of my Ankara will go up. I'm not so much a friend of lace, by the way, but just about 2 or 3 pieces. Yeah, that's for disclosure purposes.
Yeah, so we're looking at the textile industry market. I would definitely call it a culture-driven market within Nigeria. You know, the demand for, you know, some of these textiles have increased. I think the central bank quoted that it's worth about $10 billion yearly, annually. So that's a huge market that we're looking into. And for them to, you know, ban the importation or sourcing for Forex for the importation of this product is quite huge, in the sense that I personally would preferred if they would have, you know, revamped the industry before making this ban, because the immediate impact of this would be, at this point, we're seeing exchange rates in the parallel markets and in the IE window converge. Most of these people will result in smuggling of these goods, and how would they source for the funds to import some of these products would be through the parallel markets. Now that we're seeing convergence, what then happens to the exchange rates? You know, there'll be actually more divergence when it comes to, you know, the rates. But
it's a big discussion. I'm not sure we can have all the time for that today, because again, how do you grow industries when you leave the gates open for massive importation and you're trying to grow your industries in the face of that? You need to close the tap, then do the mop. If you leave the tap open, the water keeps flowing and you keep mopping and mopping forever.
Yeah, so if they're going to close...
That's my personal view.
Yeah, so if they're going to close the tap, they should be ready for the immediate consequences. Because
they will be ready for the consequences, again, because some of these products are the high end of the market. Instead of saying, oh, look, let's tax some of this luxury lace material, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're using lace here just as an example, a few others. But because these are products bought by the big boys in the environment, and it's all over the parties. This weekend you're going to see some of them as well. So, I've got to Lagos. Sorry. Some folks will have some parties after the elections in the evening. Yeah. So we need to protect, but we need to have clothing consumption, and this is a big conversation moving on. But this is one policy on the street. Consumers need to be aware.
Yeah, but you know, the important thing people forget is that in this industry, taste and preference is very crucial. You can't, you know, decide to, when you're trying to revamp the local industry, you're trying to match the taste and preference to the ones that they actually import abroad. If you don't get to a situation where you're producing a higher quality or even a quality that equates to the one that you're purchasing, most individuals within the economy, as at now, it seems like it's a necessity when it comes to weddings and many other occasions. Most people would actually demand this. And what then happens to the price of most of these fabrics? They would definitely go up. And then this would, through the negative multiplier effect, feed into inflation.
Okay. I'm sure it's a conversation that will start going on. We're going to see the impact moving on. But before the first of the 3 basic human needs is food. So I'm sure this is one of the burning economic issues. Now, as we begin to look at it, I love your market survey all the time. Then I'm beginning to look at why the prices of some of these products are now trending higher. Semovita, new yam, tomatoes, and pepper. So let's leave dry lace and wet lace and the Swiss lace a little bit. And talk about the one that goes in the tummy that keeps us living.
Yes, we've seen stability with most of the prices. Obviously, with the election hitchhocks, we saw, you know, prices, you know, go up slightly. But as long as, you know, we don't have any shocks within the system regarding supply or demand, we expect, you know, prices to keep remaining stable, except, you know, we have the harvest season or the planting season. So those are the main impacts on some of these prices. But the price of tomato, rice, major staples have remained kind of stable. Compared to where we were, you know, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, the prices have declined significantly. But right now, we're looking to a position where, you know, right now, the current administration is trying to revamp the agricultural sector. So we're kind of positive of the impacts. Lately, we've seen that the impact of these prices have actually reduced some of the prices of some of these staples. But, you know, going forward, we should expect to see dampening within the price, the commodity price.
If you look at the second page, that's where we find rice, flour, beans, and some. It looks like those prices were neuter as we speak, and they've stayed that flat for quite some time, even all through the heat of the political campaign before the presidential elections, which was towards the end of the year, and that's it there, with the exception of Gary. That's is a bit okay, heading that direction, 6,150 naira.
And it's also important to remember Lent has already started, so we expect, you know, the impact of this, you know, we expect to see reduction in demand slightly, depending on how, you know,
and prices
as well. But, you know, once the Easter comes up again, then we see uptick in prices as well. So that's usually the trend we see, which should not be any cause for concern. They shouldn't increase prices, you know, significantly that, you know, we would.
Maybe we should all fast a little bit more and keep prices lower. But again, that's just fine. Don't take that seriously. I'm just saying, just in case. But again, just make prices, helps prices and demand. But where are we with the oil prices? It looks like Naira is holding it steady. Our external reserves are ticking up a little bit. All thanks to oil prices?
Yeah, oil prices are up today, $66. You know, like I mentioned, we expect oil prices to, you know, trade between 65 up until 70, but we don't know if it would hit the 70 mark initially. But oil prices are currently at 66, despite the fact that U.S. oil production is up, according to the EIA. And also the fact that Saudi Arabia has made, you know, significant impact in the market by reducing production to about 9 million barrels per day. So we're seeing that, you know, trade within the oil sphere. And also the trade dispute between China and U.S., we expect positive results from that.
From the talks?
From the talks. And that should, you know, feed into positive prices. Although China is still adamant on the fact that they're trying to, you know, make sure that there's a structural change within their economy, in the sense that this kind of trade dispute they had with the U.S. wouldn't affect them in the nearest future.
And they're taking steps.
Yeah,
just so that they're going to do almost $1 trillion yen reorganization of the economy, some VAT issues, some tax cutback, whatever it is. That's how to manage an economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bolanle Agbaje from Financial Derivatives Company. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. And earnings is the big news.